Hi, my name is Bas, and I'm the CTO and co-founder of Ciphix. In today's session, we will talk why every organization needs a digital workforce. What is a digital workforce? It's actually a buzzword we're trying to hype for a cool concept we're going to show you in this presentation. A digital workforce is basically a set of technologies that together provide services or business processes normally produced by humans. Because a digital workforce performs others' work, all the boring work doesn't have to be completed by the humans, but will be completed by the workforce instead, the digital workforce. At rapid speed and without any mistakes, 24/7 a day. We do this with a team of 40 tech-savvy people we've built up over the past 2 years. And our mission is to unleash the human potential of every human in the workplace across the globe. Take the robot out of the human. That is our mission. And we think it's really important. What you see here is an office building in Japan, one with the lights on and one with the lights off. In Japan, it's common to have all the lights on all throughout the night, especially in Tokyo. This is Dentsu, a Japanese advertisement company that is facing the consequences of a labor shortage, something that's going on in Japan. In Japan, 66.4% of the small medium enterprises in 2019 could not find all their people for all their open job positions. Japan is in a workforce crisis, and it's very severe. It causes many people to overwork, and we all know that overworking is very bad for your health. That's why we think we need to, come up with a solution, especially in Japan. Dentsu company is now benefiting from a digital workforce. Actually, they implemented UiPath, robotic process automation, which is a technology we will discuss later in the session. And now they can have their office lights off at night, which is rather special in Japan. But what if we're going towards the same direction in the Netherlands? So what you see here are some numbers of my grandparents crushing me with their fertility rate. It's about the birth rate, the supply rate of the new human workforce. And it's been declining in the past 70 years, very severely. More than 50% is lost. So we only produce half of the humans we did back in 2050. This is actually quite, concerning me, because this means that all these people that were born back in those times are going to retire soon. I mean, families of 9, 11 siblings are soon going to going to enjoy their well-deserved pension. And although we are getting more and more people into their retirement, we're not growing our human workforce. If you look at the numbers, in 2000 there were 2.1 million people retired. In 2030, we're going to have 4.2 million people retired. But our human workforce in the Netherlands is not growing. Let me be clear about this. When there is a labor surplus, which is the opposite, so there is too many supply and not enough jobs, it's very scary. And people are, of course, scared for automation. And it makes sense because, losing your job because of automation is terrible. But labor shortage hampers economic growth. And it's just as worse, because if you as a country cannot produce all the work that you want, then you would have severe consequences for your economy and you would lose your competitive edge, which is just as worse as having a labor surplus. And that's why there should be a change, because looking at Germany, this is a research by Boston Consulting Group, and basically they have been looking at the global scale to the workforce crisis, and they zoomed in at Germany. So what you can see in the chart is that the green area is the supply of the human workforce up to 2030. And if you look at the green lines going steep above, this is the demand of the workforce. As you can see, there's a huge gap. And luckily, BCG proposed a solution. If we increase the workforce participation of elderly aged 65 plus, or at least we double it, additionally, we get more women into the workforce, and we get more immigrants, and we could become way more productive, actually increasing our productivity from 0.87, or labor productivity growth from 0.87% to 1.15%, we can still manage this workforce crisis, or at least Germany can manage their workforce crisis. But do we really want to work more? Well, I mean, I like working, I love my job, let's be honest, but is it really a solution to force elderly into labor? Maybe, just maybe, we should look different at the definition of work and what we consider a valuable job. I have a friend, about my age, graduated from University of Amsterdam, something with business, I think. And he started a job at a large international company as a business controller or something. Solid career, you'd say. But he doesn't like his job that much, because 20% of the work is fun, right? It's about, finding new business models, it's about strategy, but 80% of the work is boring. It's work like finding invoices or compiling reports, just browsing through SAP. And he says it depresses me, it distracts me, it's really bad, and to me it makes so much sense, because that job is not really fulfilling. I mean, I've spoken with a lot of robots that like that job, but me personally, I wouldn't like to do it. And I think this is something that's a growing trend. Work being boring, not rewarding, not matching our ambitions, and it's actually not being researched that much, but more and more scientific research is being done to what we call the bore-out boredom syndrome. It's real. And its effects have been measured among various offices around the globe. This is a research by Udemy, and they have found out that 43% of the workers are bored at work. And if you're a millennial, you're twice as likely to be bored. This is really bad, right? And once again, it makes so much sense to me. I mean, like, who wakes up in the morning reading SAP Monthly to rock up at the office at 9 a.m. and spend the whole day clicking through an application like SAP or Excel? I mean, that's not what they like. And the same for a doctor, for instance. Providing valuable services or care to their patients, but at the end of the day, having to do administration, like 6 hours of administration a week for just home care. But some of these stomach doctors, they have 24 hours of administration a week. So that's like 60% of their time is being spent on just filling out forms. I thought they liked it because they filled in everything twice, but that's not by design. That's just not integrated IT. So, forcing elderly into labor, or starting to work more with each other, having all the lights, the office lights, on at night throughout the Netherlands. That's not the solution, and we have to change. We've got to. And there's only one way we can solve this, and that's by creating a digital workforce, rather yesterday than tomorrow. So what is a digital workforce? A digital workforce is a set of technologies that together provide these valuable services or processes for humans instead of by humans, such that the humans can focus on valuable adding tasks, such as, finding that new business or trying to excel your business to even a higher degree. When we talk about a digital workforce, it's not something that's really alive, of course. Although we call them digital colleagues, it is still a software application, and such it should be treated as one. When we have a digital workforce, there are 3 categories of technologies. Acting. An acting technology is nothing more than just doing work. So think about it like integrating applications or using robotic process automation, a technology we've been using over the past 2 years very, very frequently and has automated lots and lots of work. Robotic process automation is replicating human actions on the computer. Think about it like keystrokes, clicking the mouse, the work I just mentioned that humans shouldn't be doing. And we can do this at rapid speed because we have all these reusable blocks that really allows us to easily automate all these applications and these business processes. And let's say a process becomes more complicated. It requires some thinking. Then we would add a thinking technology like machine learning or maybe OCR or vision, computer vision. Let's take the example of machine learning. Currently, Google has released AutoML. AutoML is a framework, or actually a service from Google, where you can very rapidly develop your machine learning models. In this way, you can make sure that you add a thinking component to the robot for the more complicated decisions. But let's be sure that if the robot cannot find the right solution, you can still ask a human. That's what we call human in the loop. And then at last, you have the conversational automation technology. And conversational automation is all about integrating your human and digital workforce to make sure that they work flawlessly together. Chatbots is a common example of conversational automation. I am going to now switch over to some of the use cases that we've done with one of these technologies. But mind you, they can be combined as well, and I will show you so. Have you met John? John is actually one of our robots we've developed over the past year that we have been able to scale over various companies. John is working at accounts payable, and John loves mailboxes. Basically, it works like this. Every time at accounts payable, there come in dozens of mail a day from suppliers or clients with questions about their invoice, about their payment, or sending reminders, all that sort of stuff. Usually, someone is working on that mailbox, just dividing all the mails throughout the categories, and then someone else is just waiting for a mail to pop up in that category and then fulfill the request. So what we have done is, first we've designed a machine learning model that is able to detect or determine what is the intention of this mail. So this could be an invoice status request, or a reminder, or it could be a new invoice, or it could be anything. So we've taken the most common topics that people are sending emails about. That's the first model, classify what is the email. The second model will work on with the entity extraction. Basically, it will just extract all the necessary information from the email to fulfill the request. Imagine a mail with an invoice reminder saying that they want to be paid soon. The model will determine, like, hey, this is an invoice reminder, extract the PO number and the invoice date, for instance, and then later on pass it on to a software robot actually performing the work. So the robot will actually go into SAP, browse the pages, eventually see when the date is going to, when the invoice is going to be paid, and return this to the sender's request and answer his, well, service request basically. That's what John can do, and John loves this work. And now the human workforce at the accounts payable can focus on a lot of different things, like, you know, how to improve our relation with our suppliers. Maybe we can find different suppliers. Maybe we can start new business, or you know, explore all these ideas these people have. That's thanks to John. This example is a quite recent one. I'm talking to well, there's no one in the audience at this moment because of Corona. And, you know, a lot of organizations have been impacted by Corona. Also Transavia. I think the whole travel industry has been severely impacted because of the lockdown. And all the flights, or almost all the flights, have been cancelled. Can you imagine what the impact was on the back office queues of Transavia? Well, I can tell you, they were enormous. And Transavia had two options. They could either hire 10 to 15 people, train them, and then just, you know, make sure that they slash through all the work of these back office queues. Or they call us and we build a robot for them. And luckily they've done the latter. They have called us at Thursday morning, 9 a.m. 10 a.m. we were on premise. They showed us the process. And before Friday afternoon, 5 p.m., we had our first version of the robot. And the Tuesday afterwards, the robot was live. Within a week, we have completed all the backlog because we could scale to 5 robots simultaneously. That's the impact of RPA. That's how fast it can go. In this case, there was no AI necessary, so RPA can also work standalone without the brains, because all the work performed in the back office could be done just rules-based. By the way, UiPath, for those who are curious which RPA vendor I support, it's UiPath. They have by far the most intuitive tool, And that's basically because if you want 100 robots, you can have them tomorrow. But the robots don't know what to do. You have to train them. If you want to train your robot, you have to, robotize a business process. And that's where I believe that UiPath is the strongest competitor, because their studio or workflow designer is by far most intuitive to use. Transavia was really happy with the robot joining their team, such they can focus on different things in these difficult times. I want to go through the next slides, but let me introduce it now. Let me just introduce it now. Labor shortage, that's like kind of the core problem I try to address here in 2030. But currently, there's already a labor shortage going on in an industry, the healthcare industry. These numbers are real. 100,000 open job positions at this moment in the Netherlands for the healthcare. That's like 10%. And there's 80% of the medical institutions cannot find the right people for their job. Meaning there's just work that lands at other plates, like other people have to do it, or it's just not being done, or in a rushy way maybe. That's really depressing and very concerning, right? The healthcare is such a critical thing in our life, right? Everyone would need it at some point or needs it right now. But what if I tell you that on average, 40% of the medical specialists waste their time on administrative tasks? And just thinking about Transavia, in 16 hours we've built a robot. From my perspective as a robot master, we are like 2 weeks away from solving the whole problem in the healthcare industry. That's why we've started Ciphix Healthcare. It's Ciphix, but my companion Marcus is trying to focus on the healthcare industry and find all these cases and build solutions for them. And he has already done that for several hospitals, freeing up very, very, very valuable time for medical specialists by giving the work to a digital workforce. And looking at the numbers we saw in the beginning, I think this is something that we should all do. All the organizations should do this. We're not going to force elderly into labor, and we're certainly not going to work at night everyone's not going to work at night. So we have to do something now. When you build a digital workforce, you will have unlimited scalability at hand during difficult times like Corona, but also during regular peak periods like a month-end closing at a finance department. With a digital workforce, you can refocus all your employees on value-adding tasks, things they love, things they like to do, ideas they like to explore, while all the boring, repetitive services are being provided in the back office by a digital workforce. Start your digital workforce today. Better yesterday, but if that's not possible, then start it today or at least tomorrow. If you want more information, go to ciphix.io, reach out to us, and you could be 2 weeks away from having your own digital workforce. Thank you for watching. My name is Bas, and I'm from ciphix.io.